Good morning, guys, and welcome to another Big Money's Life, where I take stories from my life and I share them with you. Today I've got one that is, shall we say, hot off the presses, which means it happened just this past weekend. And before I get started, I want to let you guys know that I'm going to be adjusting my recording schedule due to just how my life's going and all that other stuff. Rather than do a video every day, which isn't possible anymore, I'm only going to be going to record videos 3 days a week. That would be Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So starting maybe next week, you'll be getting videos every week, 3 days a week, and I'll change my graphic on my channel to that so you guys know when to expect a video. But without further ado, we're going to get started on what happened. So this past Sunday, I was at home. This was in the evening. I was at home, and I needed to take the dogs out because they needed to go do some business and earn off some energy. So I let them out for a few minutes because it was wet, and I couldn't leave them out very long because it's all mud out in our front yard still from where they dug up to put the sidewalk in. And so I couldn't leave them out very long, so I let them out for long enough to do what they needed to do, and then I brought them in and I put everybody back where they were supposed to go. And then after that, I went, got my dinner, and then came back in my room to watch some YouTube or Facebook or whatever I was going to do. So I come back in my bedroom and I climb up on my bed and I grab my little lap tray that I set my computer on, put my laptop on my lap, and I start to watch YouTube or Facebook, whatever I was going to do. And then about, I'd say, 30 seconds after I get situated, completely out of nowhere, okay? Completely out of nowhere, my bed just collapses right under me. Just falls apart. And this is while I'm still sitting in it. So at first I'm like, you know how something like that happens, and you sit there for a minute and you're like, oh my god, what just happened? You know, that's kind of where I was at. And then I started to panic. So like, I get off the bed. I'm like getting off the bed like a shot, right? I get off the bed like a shot. I get back in my wheelchair, and the first thing that I think of to do is to call my aunt. So I call her and I tell her what happened, and she's like, what? And I'm like, because the noise she was like so loud, and I told her, I said, my bed collapsed, and I said, I don't know what to do. And she says, well, she says, I'd come over, but she says, I've been sick all day, so I don't know if I should come over, because she says, I don't want to get you sick, and your uncle, he's watching football, and I don't want to bother him, because if you bother him when he's watching football, he gets really upset. So I didn't want to push the issue, and I asked her if she had a phone number someone I could talk to. So she gives me the number of our landlord. So I said, all right, well, let me call her and see what I can do. So she gives me the number of a friend of my mom's, to see if I can get the number of our landlord. So I call my mom's friend to see if she has the number of our landlord. So she gives me the number. I call her, and she's not home. So I'm like, So after I call her, I call my mom's friend back. And I said, do you have any other number of somebody that can help me? Because she could hear the panic in my voice, because I'm like freaking out. So she says, well, let me see here. And then she gives me the number of our landlord's sister. So I call her. She wasn't home. So I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? So I call my mom's friend back again. This time she gives me the number of our landlord's brother. So I try to call him. He wasn't home. I'm like, what the heck? So I call my mom's friend back a third time. And she says, well, my roommate, she has a roommate who's from Mexico, and he's really good at really like fixing stuff. So she says, my roommate said that if you want him to, he says he and a friend of his can come down, look at your bed, see what the problem is, and try to fix it. I said, well, I have a couple dogs I need to put away. So I said, get out of your hair. So I said, let me put them away real quick. And then I said, I'll call you back. Then then they can come down. So I called them back. I got the dogs put away. And about 5 or 10 minutes later, I call her back, and I tell her, I said, okay, they can come down. So her roommate and his friend came down. They looked at the bed, and as they're in there looking it over to see what they can do, to see what the damage is, I hear them, and some things that they're saying aren't sounding good. I'm like, oh great, So he comes out after a few minutes, and I asked him, I said, okay, what's the damage? And he says, none of the boards or anything were busted, so you're good there. He says, but whoever built the bed built it with almost all nails, and the screws they did use, which weren't many according to him, the screws that they did use had been cut. So I'm like, oh, and I'm thinking, who builds a bed with nearly all nails and doesn't cuts the screws? You're not supposed to do that. So he says, we can go get some supplies, come back, and then we can rebuild your bed. That way you'll have it to sleep tonight. So I said, okay. So he said we won't be gone long. So they left, went to get the supplies that they needed, and then they came back, which wasn't very long. It was probably like 5 or 10 minutes. So they went, got their supplies, came back, and then they spent about an hour building my bed. So they got the bed put together. They put the box spring back on, put the mattress back on. They even put the sheets back. Well, the sheets didn't come off or anything, so that was good. So they put my blankets back on, arranged it like it was before all this stuff happened, and everything was fine. So everything's cool now. My bed's put back together, and I am seriously hoping that nothing like that ever happens again, because that is one ride I do not want to go on again. It scared the living crap out of me. I've never been so scared in my life, guys. It was just, oh my gosh. Because I didn't get any warning that the bed was going to break. I didn't hear any cracks. I didn't hear any pops. I heard nothing. It was just all of a sudden, the nails that were holding the bed together just slipped and gave way right underneath me. And I'm like, oh my God. So then I waited for my mom to come home, because it was like 4 or 5 hours before she came home. She comes home, and I tell her, and she's like, what? Because she looked at me like she didn't believe me. So, but I told her, I said, I'm telling the truth, And she's like, are you alright? I said, yeah, I'm fine. I'm not hurt. I said, just scared the poop out of me. So she called her friend whose roommate came down to help me put the bed back together. She thanked them, and it was, everything's cool now. But, oh my gosh, it was such a scary experience. I hope I never have that happen again. But for the longest time that we've lived here, it's probably 2 weeks that we lived here. For 2 weeks. Actually, more than a month, actually. We've been in this house, and it's actually probably been a few months. For the first few months, I've slept in this bed. I'm sitting on it now. That's why you see all the orange behind you, because I'm in my room. I've been in this bed. I've slept in it. I've sat on it watching TV. you know, whatever. And nothing's happened. It's been perfectly fine. And I mean, it was a little wobbly at first, but I just thought nothing of it. I just thought maybe it was an old bed or something. So I thought nothing of it. So, you know, and I guess I finally just maybe bounced too hard, or maybe when my mom changed the sheets, she probably moved it and maybe knocked something loose. I don't know. But for a bed to be built with almost all nails, has that ever happened to you guys? I mean, it's, oh my gosh, it was just so, But that, when it gave way, I thought for sure that it was busted and all the boards were broken, and just because the whole, like, if you sit on your bed and you sit with your back against the headrest and your feet, and you're looking down toward the foot of the bed, the whole left side of my bed was the side that busted, because it was all slumped over and, you know, just, it was tilted over. More like toward the corner, but it was at one side. And, oh, it was just so bad. So, that's what happened, guys. So that was a look into my life. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Be sure to hit that red subscribe button if you haven't already. You guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.